I understand. But two things can be true at the same time. It can be hard and it can be the right thing to do.
If you would, please go ahead and take a seat as we welcome our next speaker to the stage, Ms. Kelly Donahue-Piro. As founder and president of insurance consulting and training firm Agency Performance Partners, for more than a decade, Kelly has been inspiring clients and conference attendees alike to be ridiculously amazing. An empathetic visionary, Kelly sees herself and her team not just as expert advisors, but as a BFF to agency owners, coming alongside with an arm around the shoulder when times are tough and a round of high fives when success rolls in. Kelly's professional journey began with a degree in relationship marketing from Bentley University in 2003, and she has not hit pause since, serving among other roles as vice president in charge of client services for an insurance digital marketing firm once named among America's fastest growing companies by Inc. magazine. Since 2014, she has helmed Agency Performance Partners and has traveled the U.S. and Canada as a highly sought-after speaker, empowering insurance agents to face change with a can-do attitude and a growth mindset. I'll also point out this session has been approved for continuing education hours, so if you are in need of CE, there is a sign-in sheet that's being circulated. So with that said, please help me welcome Kelly Donahue-Piro. Kelly, come on up.
It's great to be here today. Are you guys having fun? That was kind of lame. Are you guys having fun? All right. Also, I just realized how this feels very presidential, and I'm wearing like red, white, and blue, so vote me for president. No, I'm excited to be here today. You know, we got to present in the spring at the Hard Market Series. How many of you guys went to that with the big I? Handful of people. You guys missed a good time. Well, today I'm here to tell you what's going to happen in 2025, the market predictions. Who's ready to get out of this hard market? Okay, that was a woohoo for getting out of the hard market. We got some work to do. Hey, the hard market has had some blessings. Many agencies have grown, but next year's going to be a bit different. And so what I'm here to do today is to share with you our market predictions and how you should plan for 2025, because it will be a bit of a different year. I was on a podcast this morning with Jason Cass, if any of you guys know him, and I used the statement that agents have become comfortably numb in this market. We know that renewals aren't happening in the way that they should. We know that rates are increasing. We know non-renewals are up. We know underwriting memos are up, and we're sort of just comfortably numb about it. But next year will be a year of disruption, and without the right plan, I get a little nervous some of our agencies might go backwards. And I'm sure everybody in this room, do you want to shrink next year? Okay, so you're in the right place. So a couple things, just so you can see, there is a QR code up on my screen. If you snap it, you'll get a copy of this presentation with some of the resources immediately. If you are QR code challenged, which some people are, sometimes I am, all you have to do is leave your business card or connect with us in the app. So we are active in the app. Ask for the presentation and we will get that emailed to you. So I highly recommend you grab this. It will be on every slide. But let's be honest, it's nice to follow along. So any deep crisis is an extraordinary opportunity to make your life extraordinary in some way. And I think when we think about this, where have we been? 2019 was a great year. 2020 hit, we got COVID, right? And we battled COVID. COVID finally sort of went by the wayside, and then we got a hard market. So really in insurance, we have been battling for 4 years straight. How many of you are tired? Right. So we're all a little tired, we're all a little ragged. And we hope that we're not bracing for the next scenario. But here are some statistics I want to just share with y'all to get our brains thinking in the right way. U.S. property insurance rates are up 20% nationwide. Now you might be thinking, well, that would be nice to only be 20%. But the reality of the situation is across the country, that's where we are. In 2022, there were over 18 storms that caused over $1 billion in damage. So think about it, 18 storms, $1 billion plus. Does anybody want to pay those claims in this room personally? Probably not. Auto premiums increased 17% in 2023, and 26% of people are actually considering driving without insurance due to the cost. So if you had to choose between groceries and insurance, that's a tough decision in American family households, right? Now, that doesn't mean that we can't rise to the occasion, of course. This is how you feel. We all feel like Ernie sometimes. So what is impacting all these rates? And you all know this. I won't spend too much time on this, but we have more natural disasters than ever. California is on fire. That happens. Texas still freezes. How weird is that? I didn't think I'd ever see Texas freeze. And we have massive hurricanes, storms, flooding, tornadoes. The list goes on. Medical costs cost more, so claims are costing more. So when you go to the doctor and you go to the ER, it's pretty impactful how much medical costs have driven up. There's insurance rates that have gone up to pay these claims. Because guess what? If a carrier can't pay the claims, what happens to them? They go insolvent. I heard someone say that. So in Louisiana, we have agencies that have had 18 homeowners carriers go insolvent in a year and a half. Some of their clients have had 3 homeowners carriers in 1 year. So when I say in North Carolina it could get worse, it is worse in some other states, just to give you guys a point of perspective. The legal costs are increasing. Technology, I'm sure many of you have gotten the drone inspection. You know, the flyover drone, like the drone said, this house doesn't fly. We had a running joke that, oh, we can't insure you. Your property has a tree on it. So when we think about those things and technology kind of going over, it has made our underwriting a little bit more complex. There's inflation and increased home costs. And I want to sit for a second on this because it was explained to me in a really great way. When my grandparents bought their first home, that was their only home. How many grandparents out there do you have where they've kind of been in that same home, right? And their whole goal was pride of home ownership, to stay in that home and pay off and have no mortgage. That was their American dream, to be mortgage free. Now, this also meant that like 3 chaotic boys were in like a 900 square foot house, okay? But today, people don't keep houses as much. They'll sell them, they'll turn them over. And if you're thinking about selling your house in 2 years, do you put a new roof on it? Probably don't. But you would think about putting a new kitchen with granite countertops in it. So we've sort of shifted, and I'm not saying that that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's an important factor to note that many people are not necessarily maintaining property the way that we once did in other generations. Oh, there you go. And so because we're not maintaining them, what happens is there's more insurance claims that end up, the insurance carriers keep paying. So your team today needs to start becoming as efficient as possible, because what we're going to be facing in 2025 could really kick our butts. And what I see everywhere as I go, I walk into agencies every week. I was at Auto Owners yesterday at their CSR Summit. I don't know if any of you guys had people there, if there's any auto owners people in the room. But we are finding that staff members inside of an agency are more crispy than ever. The burnout is real. The burnout is high. I spoke to one of my clients yesterday that lost a team member of 20 years because she's going to go work for the post office. And I was like, the post office? Because that is inspiring, like insurance, post office. And the challenge that we really see when we walk into agencies is everybody is so busy, right? Like this cat, I am busy. And when we really unpeel the onion, we look at Reagan best practices that tells you the average revenue you should be having per team member. And we find agencies falling sometimes 40% short of that, but experiencing high levels of burnout and high levels of just, I can't keep up. So let's talk about the major causes of this, because it's important to solve this before we get into 2025. So I'm going to give you my top 3 items I see in agencies that we're running a bit inefficiently. The first one is we are over-servicing our least desired customers. So I'm going to encourage everybody to donate your bottom 10% of customers to the competition. Give them to your friendly neighbor who owns an insurance agency. These are people with payment issues, constant claims. Sometimes they have insurance, sometimes they don't. But in many agencies I go to, it's not clear to the frontline staff of how to tell someone no, how to not accept that lead. It's like, we will take your sick, you're needy, you're elderly, and we will care for them at our insurance agency. But we're not a charity. And so I encourage you guys to look and say, do we have standards that say when someone calls in, we tell them no? Or even our current clients, how many times do we reinstate them? Because if that's where your team's time is going, 2025 is going to be a battle. The second thing that we see from an efficiency standpoint is we really struggle with the idea of what we call first call resolution. First call resolution is headset on, multiple monitors up. And we actually transact on the phone with the person, document the file, save it, and then we're able to take up the next phone call. Instead, what we see is some team members writing it down on a notepad, hanging up with the client, going to process it, getting another phone call. This transaction's half done. Now we forgot something or we couldn't read our handwriting, so we call the client back. And now we do the whole thing. Then we don't tell them the premium change, and then they call back in 3 weeks frustrated. I can do a change, an auto change in 8 minutes. Some team members are more like at 28 minutes to 32 minutes because we're not practicing first call resolution. So if you really want to go back to your team, demand that they all wear headsets, and we start getting into no notepads on our desk and first call resolution transactions. Now, some of you right now are getting a little squeamish, and I understand. I've walked into many agencies where I've had to tell people headsets are mandatory. And some of you in this room are thinking to yourself, what is she saying? Like, that's not going to save time. It is a game changer. And some of your team will say, I don't like the way that they look. I don't like the way that they feel. And I'm going to say, have you tried it? And you will be surprised. Some people say, well, no, I just know I don't like headsets. But then they'll be rocking their Apple earpods on the way out. So we'll take that for another one. Then the third biggest thing that we have to do to get efficient is this. And this is going to sound very counterintuitive, but you'll hear me talk about this in the future slides on how we get this done. We need to get proactive at renewal with proactive renewal review calls. Because what happens is we open up an account, it's the hot mess express, and we end up having to dive in and fix things all the time. And when clients call us frustrated about rate, you have to remember, what have our clients experienced over the last 3 years? I call it like that cat that when I was growing up, that picture just hang in there. You guys know the cat on the little ledge? They've hung in there with us. And so if we're proactive and can review their accounts, find discounts, make changes proactively, we can win retention next year. If we're waiting for them to call us, they're going to start shopping. Because now next year, our market prediction is the markets will start to open, albeit like a plane taking off in turbulence, and I'll describe that in a minute. And what will happen is they can find better rates, and you will be scrambling to save. And when we're scrambling to save, we're also not able to accept as much new business. So it is going to be like a synchronized swimmer treading water. Maybe not as pretty. So those are our 3 efficiency strategies that we need to embrace. But busy is not the way to go. So we've already talked about this. We all know you're ready to get the hard market behind us. So Abby did a great job introducing me, but you might be thinking, who is this lady and why do we care about what she has to say about the market predictions? Well, my 2 feet have been in over 1,000 agencies between the US and Canada, which means every week I leave my wonderful family and go someplace glamorous like Winston-Salem, or yesterday, Lansing, Michigan. And we love to give agencies plans, right? So if you're available tomorrow, we're going to talk in depth about the road to 96% retention, how we're able to get 96% retention rate on our clients. I hope you stop by. We want to have fun. Do you guys remember last time insurance was fun? Every day, yes. You know what? Fun is what you make of it. You make a choice to make it fun. You can have fun in hard times. You really can. And agencies focused on their culture are really having some fun, even though the marketplace is difficult. We want to help you become ridiculously amazing, as Abby said, and we want positive attitudes, put the work in, and failing forward. Do you know why agencies aren't having fun today? Because we have teams that have Eeyores on them. Do you guys know what an Eeyore is? Oh no, rates are going up. Oh, bother, this carrier's getting out of this market class. I heard a rumor that this market's going to last until 2073. My favorite Eeyore was a client I worked with for a long time. And I remember walking up the stairs with this woman. Her name is Robin. And she goes, oh, it's Monday. And I said, you know what, Robin? It's going to be back again in 7 days. What are we going to do? And she's just like, oh, You're so positive all the time. Like, no, I'm just stating the facts. And I was like, so tomorrow you're going to be like, it's a terrific Tuesday, Robin. She's like, no, it's Tuesday. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. But just a little bit about me personally. We have a hard market superhero, hard market Harry. So that's him up there. Because we believe that all your team is superheroes in this market. You know, I think we're the unsung heroes. We're doing a lot of hard work. We're helping clients. We're explaining something really complicated. So go back home and tell your team that they're heroes, because they are. And they deserve to hear that. That's my rescue puppy, America, down there. We call her America when she's bad, and Miss America when she's not bad. She came with that name from a rescue shelter in Texas, but she's pretty cool. We think she should be a support animal for insurance agents. I Peloton, so if anybody wants to follow me, you can. I can't keep plants alive. I fly every single week. That's my best friend / husband, Andrew. I've watched every episode of Grey's Anatomy, even though it's not that good anymore. And Chance the Rapper followed me on Twitter, so clearly that gives me some qualifications to be up here today. So a bit about my company, Agency Performance Partners. We just focus on helping agencies grow. And whether that's clearing out your challenges, training the team, we've got all sorts of ways we do that. Feel free to say hi if you have some more questions. But let's go into it. What's our strategy look like for 2025? So we have to pay attention. Because if we're comfortably numb heading into 2025, and this is really key, we're heading into October. October, between now and December, is a time agencies need to create a good strategic plan. And I know that this is hard because I own small businesses. And I know it's hard to sit down and think, what do we want? What are the problems? What are the challenges? And what am I bold enough to do to conquer those challenges? And so we've created a strategic planning workbook that releases on October 15th. But you need to write down a plan. And here's why. Your team, now more than ever, needs a strong, passionate leader. So if you're burned out and you're crispy and you got your head in the sand and you're slamming carriers and you're saying, oh, this market, oh, this, what do you think that sends the message to them? The sky is falling. Now, if you think about some of the greatest sports heroes, they're down at the second half. Do they go into the locker room and be like, man, we don't got this? No. They recalibrate and they give their team clear instructions about what to focus on, what not to focus on. What clients that they want to make sure we take care of, what we have to say no to. And so it's time to get organized. And if you need some help with that, let us know. Like I said, our strategic planner launches on the October 15th. So here's what we're predicting. Around this time, we're going to start seeing some relief. And what do I mean by that? We're going to say that the carriers are sort of putting in their last and final rate increases, unless you're coastal. Sorry. I'm from Rhode Island, guys. We're all coastal. We're 47 miles by 42 miles, okay? Like the whole thing is a coastline. Nobody writes anything in Rhode Island right now. But we're going to start to see some rates. We're going to start to see rate stabilization, which means you no longer have to deal with the roller coaster or your stomach coming up into your mouth when the download hits and you see your biggest customer got a 50% rate increase. We should start to see the non-renewals mellow out a little bit. It's still going to be there, okay, but it's not going to be as dramatic. So what we're going to see is we're not going to have the rate fluctuation quite like we did. There will be pockets. It's not 100%. But can we all get a round of applause? Wouldn't it make our jobs easier not to have huge rates? Yes, let's do it. Round of applause. Come on, get some energy going. You know, we've had a semi-calm summer. I want to knock on wood. Hurricane season is not over just yet. There was some flooding. There was some things, normal, natural. California is still on fire, but there was nothing disastrous as of yet. So that's going to help us. But here's what's going to happen. Rates will kind of, do this. They're not going to go down, okay? They're going to kind of do this. And this is going to be like taking an airplane off in turbulence. Everybody know what that feels like? You're sort of holding on to the seat, like white knuckling it, hoping and, maybe doing a little prayer and telling the person next to you love them even if they're a stranger. So what we mean by that is it will expand and contract. It'll expand and contract. So you will feel in a lot of ways like a new agent not knowing where to place business because 1 week a carrier will be really hot and the next week they might pull back. You might get approval to do something, and then, you know what, in post-underwriting, as inspections hit, they'll pull back. So it's going to be a bumpy ride, but you won't see as many rejections, no, et cetera. So we have to understand that this is an opportunity and also a threat. It's an opportunity because as now people shop in your marketplace, you will be able to say yes more. And let's be honest, writing new business is fun, right? The downside is as your customers shop, because they've been that cat hanging in there for 3 years, just hang in there, and they decide to shop, they will find other opportunities. So my fear is we sell one and we lose one. We sell one and we lose one. My other fear is if we're not strong, passionate leaders with a good plan and we don't tell our team where to spend attention, the team may focus on the monoline auto policy, trying to save it, and we may have a beautiful 4-policy package that we can't get to for new business. Could you see that potentially happening in some offices? And everybody might apply their own value system, which is why you as a leader, it becomes so important and critical. Inspections are going to be fierce, so we still need to do a lot of underwriting, and justifiably so. We probably were doing a little too little underwriting, which got us into this. So we will be in that situation. Rates will not decrease, but opportunity is going to increase. So we're encouraging everybody to think about staffing up, using technology, finding virtual assistants, and looking at how you can really capitalize to have explosive growth in 2025 if that's what you desire. And there will be some agencies that will still just be hanging in there because it will be a bit of chaos. Kind of like, remember when we got into this market, it was chaos? We got like whiplash, like what? It's gonna be a bit like that on the way out. And if we already have a crispy, burned out team, this could be catastrophic if we're not prepared. So that's why I'm so excited that you're all in here today, because I think you wanna be prepared. Going backwards. So we will need to remarket accounts at a higher level in 2025. And if any of you guys have seen me speak before, this is actually hard to get out of my mouth because I am an anti-remarketer, okay? I believe remarketing is the last tool in our whole tool chest and should only be done tastefully. And the clients who call you up every 6 months saying, shop me, shop me, shop me, should go in that bottom 10% to be relocated to your competition, okay? However, because the market conditions are going to be up and down, we will not know if they're actually placed with the right carrier. And because they've held on for so long, I have a fear that you will start losing clients if we don't show good faith. So you will need to gear up to get ready to remarket. Now, if any of you guys have followed me before, you also know that I'm not remarketing anybody without getting something out of it. So we are going to prep the teams and train the teams and role play the teams and give them the right process. Say we remarket, we're increasing coverage. We're asking for referrals. We're putting that life insurance quote in. We're putting that umbrella quote in. We're quoting the whole package so that we can convert a high service level, a very intense, time-consuming exercise into capitalizing. Because here's the reality of a remarket. I shrink the agency's premium, and if I put them with a carrier with less commission, I hurt the agency's bottom line. So I take a double hit. Some of your remarkets will shrink your revenue to the agency by 1/3. Now, many of your team members don't think that way because they think I'm helping a person, right? So my fear is you come up again like July next year and you're like, why is our profit margin off? And so this is where your leadership comes into play to educate them on what to do, what to say, how to do it, right? Because if you can pull this off, and we got 4 months, 3.5 months to get there by 2025, you could have a nice, beautiful, organized ballet of new business and renewals, and your reshops would actually net you a positive if we do this right. Who could get behind that? Everyone's like, tell me how. So we need to show good faith because clients who shop will find other options. Carriers will have new appetites, and my fear is retention will start to drop. Many of you track retention over a 12-month period, so you're not going to feel it right away. I'm also going to encourage you all to look and say, what is our monthly retention rate? How many policies were up for renewal? How many got renewed or how many lost? For the simple reason that it'll start catching things earlier. And analyze who's leaving and why. Where are they going? Because that is a lead list for the future if you do it right. So we need to gear up to get ahead. And I think we're all sick of being comfortably numb. I hope we wake up on 2025 ready to rock, ready to attack the year, and not ready to let the market slap us across the face again. Because I know we got to be like Rocky and get up and fight. And that's where we need to be. But that starts with everybody in this room having a lot of passion and energy too. So one of the first retention strategies that we like to educate people on is what we call me first. Do all your clients know you exist? You might be thinking, oh, yeah, they do. I'm going to challenge you, because if they're on EFT or we haven't talked to them in several years, when the carrier sends the policy out, whose name is on it? Theirs. If I'm on EFT, whose name do I see coming out of my bank account? Theirs. By the way, I'm a huge advocate for EFT, so don't be like, let's have everybody come in and pay. Don't do that. Don't do that. But we have to insert ourselves so they know, hey, if you have a challenge, call me. Call me. And you would be shocked at how many people transacted and bought business over the phone and they forgot you exist. So our customers can't be an inconvenience. And when I first started going into agencies almost 18 years ago, I'll never forget that I've walked into 5 agencies in 1 week with a mentor of mine. And every time the phone rings, this is what would happen. Oh. And I was like, oh, it is allergy season. I get it, man. My allergies are killing me too. Second agency. Oh. By the third agency, I was like, hun, do you need a cough drop? And she was like, no, this phone just won't stop ringing. And I kind of was like, well, that's why we exist, right? Our customers need us. And so you have to really flip that mentality inside of an agency, because the customers calling can't be an inconvenience. It's the reason we exist. But many clients don't know, because they forget we exist, to call us when the rates increase, when they have a question, when they have a claim, when they have a new risk. So we need to get out to them and remind them that we exist, whether that's email marketing campaigns, whether that's, I was on with another client this morning and I learned they call everybody on their birthday, which I think is cool. We have a couple agencies that do that. It's automated, but the agency owner actually sings happy birthday. So I'm excited to get that recording to see how his vocal skills are. I think he's going to stay running an agency and not get on American Idol personally, but we'll see. So we have to get out there and put our name in front of our customers so they remember to call us. So what if your team on every phone call updated your clients with a short market update and a call me first request? Hey, we just want to let you know our market predictions. Thank you so much for calling and asking for a certificate. Let me tell you a little bit about where we're seeing the market go. Could be 2-3 sentences, right? We're optimistic next year. There's going to be a few more options. As you see things come in, please call me first so that we can work on it with you. That's 15 seconds. And if every team member takes about 20 phone calls a day, that would make an instant impact. And some of you are like, I can't even get them to answer the phone the same way. What are we going to do? How are we going to do that? Well, at some point you have to realize that some things become insubordination. And if this is going to help, we have to get through the freaking first times and practice a bit. But it would work, okay? So here's a little script that we have. And again, if you hit the QR code, you get these slides, the scripts on here. While I have you, I want to let you know how much we appreciate your business and loyalty. As you may have heard, insurance rates across the country are on the rise. The good news is we're starting to see some relief in options. Because of this, I'll be calling you at renewal to review your options. When I reach out, make sure you contact me back and always call us first with any insurance questions. I don't know. If somebody called me and said that, I'd be like, great. And when I got that renewal in, who do you think I'd call first? Yeah, because you invited me. But if not, and all these rates have happened and I've hung in there for so long, I might be thinking it's time to look around. So you need to empower your team with the right scripts. So basically, by inviting people to call us first, we're making our lives easier, because is it easier to talk to somebody or is it easy to save a cancellation? Once they've already bound coverage with somebody else, they're breaking up with you. You sound like the desperate girlfriend trying to be like, please don't go. I love you, I swear. We don't want that. We want you guys to be empowered. All right, number 2, we have to build relationships with customers. And I think some agencies believe they do this, right? And this happened this week on a call. Well, I have good relationships with my customers. I'm like, you have great relationships with 1,000 people? You have great relationships with some people. But the reality is most of our profitable customers don't call us that often. So there is no trigger to build a relationship. But people still buy from people they know, like, and trust. I don't want to move anything if I don't have to. Who wants to do that? Do you want to go find a new hairdresser, ladies in the room? No. Do you want to go find a different grocery store to go grocery shop at? No, you know where everything in the aisle is. In fact, when I travel to go to grocery store, I feel like a fish out of water. I'm like, but where are the crackers? You know? So we need to start doing it. This is a very simple, very traditional thing that we've gotten away from. Find a place in your agency management system to document their kids' names, pets, where they like to vacation, any hobbies. So next time the person calls in, it's like having a call with a warm friend. Hey, last time we talked, Timmy was going to the soccer playoffs. How'd that go? Do you know what people stop getting pissed about? Insureds. Yeah, because you're talking to them about who they are as a person. I can hands off tell you this. I don't have children. But if you're like, hey, Kelly, how was America's Doggy Daycare today? She was great. I got a picture. Can I send it to you? They're doing, pumpkin spice puppuccinos today. She's great. We got her Halloween costume, and it's Captain America. It was sold out last year. I'm really excited. And then it'd be like, yeah, let's talk about your non-renewal. Okay. What do we got to do? And I know it sounds weird, but, a lot of the times people are still people. And what we're doing is protecting what they love and what they work hard for. And we need to reconnect with people in a big way. Find a place to document it. Your management system is best. But every conversation that comes into an agency really should start feeling like a warm friend. And if you have people on your staff that don't like people, this isn't the business for them. This is a people-based business. People go to an independent agent for a relationship. And I'm telling everybody out there, if you're newer to insurance, we need to learn how to pick up the darn phone. Everything doesn't happen via email or text. There is a human, and your inflection comes over differently. If you read a transcript of this session today, do you think it would hit the same? No, because you'd be like, America the dog, what is she talking about? But then you saw the photo. It makes sense, right? So I always like to, I know this is funny, right? We don't want to be giving anyone any exams like that. But a couple years ago, I broke my ankle. And, I'm a pretty active person. I didn't even do anything fun. I was hanging a curtain. I fell off a chair. So I didn't even have a good story, right? So I went to the orthopedic doctor, and he's like, okay, you just need the boot, stay off of it, like it'll heal, blah, blah, blah. So they make you go out back every 2 weeks. So on my 30-day check-in, he goes, oh, I think we're going to need to do surgery. And I was like, excuse me? If we were going to do surgery, that was 30 days ago. We're not starting this whole process again. And then it dawned on me. He didn't have my chart in his hands. And I said, sir, can you tell me my name? And the blood drained out of his face, and he turned ghost white. And he's like, I actually can't tell you your name. I go, so you want to cut into my ankle and delay me and put me in a cast for another, 8 weeks or whatever, and you can't tell me my name. And he says, well, we just got a lot of clients here. I'm like, that's great. We're going to get a second opinion. And I think sometimes we forget that there are people on the other end of the phone. So we need to work really hard to use their names and make this feel like a really warm transaction next year. All right, number 3. Remember, our clients have held on and been loyal for a long time. And there comes a point, no matter how good our relationship is, how good our service is, how good the policy is, that some people just can't hold on financially anymore. And we feel for these people, right? They've been loyal. And now when they shop, there'll start to be options. So before they might have gone out and looked and they stayed where they were, you know why? Because there was nothing out there. They came back. But guess what? If they went out and shopped, either to another independent agent or to a captive out there, do you think if they shopped their insurance with Progressive is just going to not contact them at this renewal? No. Progressive is going to call them, email, text them, send them letters, sends them into their home. I don't know, chase them down at work. Those little Progressive mobiles, So all of your clients who have shopped, and maybe behind your back or in front of your face, they're now in someone's database, right? And they're just waiting for a time when either the market's open, we screw up, or another rate increase happens to trigger them to go into the arms of another. And if we are not prepared, I can't stress this enough, because I think sometimes people think, well, no, our customers are loyal. And when some people say it to me, I go, what's your retention rate? And they go, good. I go, good's not a number. Like good or great. And so we can't take what we've been given for granted. Yes, we've grown during the hard market. Next year's not going to be that simple. And we need to start being here to review our clients' accounts. As we launch renewal reviews with agencies, and some people will challenge me, someone will be at the cocktail party tonight and be like, Kelly, there's no way we could call everybody. I'm here to tell you we have many agencies across the United States of America calling every single client at renewal, and they would not go back because I poll them all. So 96% of account managers who go through our renewal review call training would not go back to a reactive model after 6 months. So some of you are thinking right now, if I go back home and tell my team we're calling everybody at renewal, they are going to shank me. No doubt I get hired to tell teams that, and I have thought about getting a bulletproof vest. I understand. But two things can be true at the same time. It can be hard and it can be the right thing to do. I feel the same way about renewal calls that I do as burpees. I don't like doing them, but they work. So we have to get into our headspace of what are we going to do and get fired up for 2025 and make this part of your plan. Because how many clients think that you're the carrier? Lots. How many clients don't know you sell life insurance or auto insurance or business insurance or anything else? That's on us. And the way we solve that is by the good old-fashioned renewal review call. It's not new. It's not sexy, kids. It's the most traditional thing you can do. But somehow we got mixed up in it because technology took over and automation, and we got short-staffed. So we need to be proactive. And many agents will come to me, well, Kelly, we do that. We send out an automated email. I go, you know what's amazing? When's the last time you changed that email? Been about 4 years. I go, okay, and most management systems are going to trigger on every policy. So you know what that means? I got 26 of your stupid emails this year because I have 26 policies. Do you know what I do with those? Peace out. And this is the year we become human again. This is the year we have fun again. You guys had all said insurance hasn't been fun. You know what's fun? Connecting with people and making sure that they have the right insurance. Now, don't call that bottom 10%, right? We're inviting them to go find the competition. Unless you want to call them and say, you know, I'm looking at your account. You could do better. Let me give you a copy of your policy. Got it all packaged up for you right here. I could get behind that call. So, you know, what we're talking about with renewal reviews, it's not automatically remarketing the account before we call the person. I strongly disagree with agencies who do an automatic remarket. You don't know what that person's life has done differently. You don't know that, you know, that we had one today. The sister sold the house to the brother. You're going to go spend a half hour remarketing someone to then have it be wrong? You don't even know if they're going to pick up the phone. We remarket after a review. I don't agree with the agencies that we call people that have gone up X%, because that kind of caught us by surprise early in this hard market, because we were calling everybody for a minute because that rate trigger was a little off. And I don't know about you, but my mom gets mad when her insurance goes up $8. I don't notice until one day my husband gets the bill and it's like, do you realize we're paying like $26,000 a year for insurance? And I'm like, no, that sounds high. We can't lean only on digital means, okay? Like, I think we're all a little digitally exhausted. So you can support the process with digitization, but it is not the process. There is no replacement for a good old-fashioned phone call. Now, some of you in here are like, maybe we could get an AI bot to have this conversation. We're not there yet, okay? We're not there yet. And they got to give coverage advice, so they're not licensed. I don't know why, but some agencies still avoid using a rater in personal lines. You will not survive 2025. I understand the rate's not accurate. Don't think of it as that. Thinking of it as integration to your carriers. And here's why I need you guys to embrace the rater. It's one source of entry that then goes out everywhere. Your carriers are going to want to see that you're quoting them. It's also stored in there. So next time we have to do it, it saves you time. It's not stored in the carrier quote or on your quote sheets. Use the rater, get good at it. And here's the thing. If it only integrates and pushes to the carriers, because what did I say earlier? You're not going to know where to place business for a while. You're going to be like a new agent. You're going to need to use technology. Now, I know some of you might be coastal in here. I understand those challenges. Use it where you can, but don't avoid the rater any longer. What it is, reviewing accounts is defense of your book. And we need to defend our quarterback at all costs, right? It's protection to keep growing without the rate increases. All of you have a lead list in your agency called your current customers. We could get referrals if we do this right. We could cross-sell that book. We could increase coverage. You have a lead list to grow, but for some reason, we always want the shiny new lead source. We don't want to call our current customers and get referrals. We also are extreme proactive relationship building. So when we coach producers, one of the first things we inform them that they have to start asking is, who do you have your insurance with? When they say, oh, I have it with Travelers, the producer should be doing a happy dance behind the phone. You know why? They didn't say an agent name. Now, if they say, oh, I have it with Donahue-Piro Insurance, have you heard of them? You should be like, crap. Who? Kelly? Oh, there's going to be a breakup. You would be surprised how many people don't want to call and break up because it's uncomfortable. And so if your own customers can know your name, you defend it if they're going out and shopping because they're more likely to stay with you. They might test the waters, but they come back home. We need to re-underwrite to find opportunity. There is a lot of opportunity out there in your current book of business. Just last week, I was on with an agency that's probably 5 months into our renewal review call program, so they're at the end. This literally happened in the same week. Personal Lines did a renewal review call, got somebody on the phone they hadn't talked to in 6 years. They had a $100,000 commercial account that they BOR'd over from that renewal call. Pretty cool, right? In commercial lines, we finally got the commercial team after me bashing their head in a few times on this to ask for personal lines, and they got over a 5-line personal lines account for a business owner. Don't discredit this in commercial lines either, because a lot of people have had differences in revenue, payroll, et cetera. You're getting ahead of an audit and putting that premium on your books now versus when they get smacked with the audit, okay? So there's a misperception that renewal review calls are, an expense. They are a revenue generator when done right. Because we get the cross sells, we get the coverage increases, we ask for referrals, and we're showing good faith because I think we have to show up as the agent everybody wants right now. People want an agent that can educate them and show them how to be proactive. All right, so how do we do this, right? So the first thing is everybody gets a phone call once a year and we review all the accounts. So for me, I have about 9 personal lines accounts. You wouldn't call me 9 times. 1 time a year, review everything. It's a phone call and an email, and then we close it out. We are not begging people to get on the phone with us. Phone call, leave a message, send an email, move your butt on to the next one. Where people get tripped up is they try to call someone 5 times. Move on. They know we exist. We're okay. We update their contact information. We get updates because some of you want to start using texting and do more email marketing. Can't do that if you don't have the right contact information. We also can't give wow customer service if we can't call somebody. We want to review their coverage. We want to make recommendations. We want to review discounts because before we remarket, maybe they do want to go paperless. Maybe they do want to increase their deductible. Maybe they're interested in telematics. We do everything we can to work inside that account. We document their kids' names, what they like to do so that it's a warm transaction. We ask for a referral. So renewal reviews are revenue generating activities because we can get coverage increases, save those accounts, selectively remarket to the right carriers, cross-sell, and ask for referrals. So you could literally work your whole book at the end of the day. And by the way, these are people you know, like, and trust, and know, like, and trust you. So is that a hotter lead? 100%. So I'm curious to hear what people say, right? If you told your team they were going to call every client once a year for a renewal review, what do you think your team would say? I heard okay. I heard We've heard some funny ones. One of them came up and it was I think they'd try to create a union and have picket line against me. It's wow, that's very vivid. It's hard to argue when your team says, I give good service, but we can't call people at renewal. What we're saying is we give baseline service. We meet an expectation, we return people's phone calls. But I struggle with the fact that that's enough in this market. And I struggle with the fact that people out there entrust you to protect what they work so hard for today. People are working hard. It's stressful out there. And, one home fire, one car accident, one workers' comp claim, and all of that could go away for people if they're not protected correctly. So we have to get good at the fact that people don't know what to tell us, and we're leaving money on the table by not doing this. So I also know, hey, it's good to get your staff's input and approval, But I also know deep in your hearts, you probably all know this is the right thing to do. And sometimes we need to believe for people that this can get done and not like just fold in, well, it's hard. So are burpees. You know what? So is many life changes that we have to go through. But it doesn't mean that it's not beneficial in the end. So we can help if you need help with renewal review calls, hence Bill Murray. All right. We need to become efficient and effective. This is our next scenario. So I want to share with you some time management hacks that we can use to get to some of these things. We have this concept called eat the frog. I know some of you in here know it. I know some of you give out our frogs. Eat the frog is just the concept of doing the hardest thing in your day first and just getting it out of the way, right? So we eat the frog. Maybe the frog is a renewal review. Maybe it's telling someone they're getting non-renewed. Maybe it's doing a complicated quote. But if you put off something you resist, what happens to it in your head? It grows, right? So if I told you that you had to eat a live, slimy, ribbiting frog, or your favorite person or animal, because somebody told me that they didn't care about people once, was going to die at midnight, when would be the best time to eat the frog? Everyone's still stuck on someone dying. I get it. Right now. Because if not, you don't, in your head, this frog is so huge. It could be a little tiny baby gummy frog. It could have a dipping sauce. You don't know until you dive in. And a lot of times things we built up in our head are actually far simpler once we dive into them. The next one is what we call our 2-minute rule. When something comes across somebody's desk, if it takes 2 minutes, we do it and document it. If it takes more than 2 minutes, we document it and then do it. Because what happens is we get work from producers, we get work from walk-ins, call-ins, download, faxes, emails, a million different ways. So we're constantly grabbing all these things out in the universe. You need to grab it, look at it, and put it in your management system. So you're working off of one place to understand what to do, because then you can move into being an ER nurse, not the deli counter. The deli counter is now serving 67. The ER nurse says, what's the next best use of my time? Because we also need to act like we're going to win the lottery at lunch. So early in my career, I was an under-documenter. And I got talked to about this. So you'd look at my files and it would be like, no notes. Because I was just happy and I sold policies. Some of you have people like this in your office. And my mentor sat me down and she goes, well, what happens if you get hit by a Mack truck? Now, remember, I was a little younger and a little lippy at the time. And I was like, is that what you're saying? I'm hit by a Mack truck and you care about my files? You're not going to come to the hospital and see me? And she's like, you're so not getting this. So another friend of mine said, well, reframe this in your head and say, what if you won the lottery at lunch and now you had no friends? Because everybody at work hated your guts because you were rich and your files sucked. I was like, oh, that's not nice. And she goes, yes, so document your files. So basically, at this point in time, because of the workload we can anticipate coming down the pike in 2025, we need to seamlessly get in and out of everybody's files. We have to break up with this whole, this is my account, it's the agency's account. And anybody should be able to dive in and pick up where somebody left off. Because you all don't know when you're going to get sick or under the weather or have to deal with a personal matter or be on vacation. Clients shouldn't have to wait because team members didn't document. So go back home and tell everybody, we got to operate like we're going to win the lottery at lunch. And now a lot of agency owners get really nervous when the lottery gets big and there's like the office pool. They're like, well, if you all win it, I better put the money in too because I'm out too, right? Sometimes we have to slow down to speed up. There's a lot of underutilized technology in agencies. There's a lot of underutilized support people in agencies. There's a lot of underutilized, even carrier features that we're missing. Slow down, learn, and don't just bulldoze through your day. We need to get rid of our time vampire clients, okay? Every agency has these people, and it is time to move on, okay? Time to move on. We have an agency in New York, and I'm not recommending this, but it's an interesting concept. They allow the agency's team to identify, I think it's like 5 clients to fire every year. And these women go out to the Mexican place across the street, and it's like the NCAA brackets pop up. And there's margaritas, and there's chips, and there's salsa, and they're negotiating the 5 clients the owner will release this year. And it's kind of funny, a little toxic at the same time. But if you think about it, there are clients that we should just not be serving, right? How many times can you lapse? How many times can you go ahead and have claims in a year? How many times can, we had this legitimately was on an agency that I was on with this morning. They had a past client who kind of went a little loco. He showed up at their office with no shoes on, a very long shirt. We're not sure if he had anything on underneath, and needed a quote. And this poor woman, it was her first day, and somehow she bumped into him in the lobby. So we have a sign now at his office: you must wear shoes, shirt, and pants for service. We had another agency that had a woman come in who was very intoxicated and peed on the woman's chair at her desk. Yes, these are things that I get to see all the time. See me at the bar later for more stories. But the time vampire clients we just don't have time for. The next thing is we have to ask every client, producer, team member, anybody when we're getting work from each other, by when? By when do you need this? Right? Hey client, by when do you need this quote? Hey, when are you going to get me this so that we can complete this file? By when will save you, because otherwise what happens is there's no expectation, and everybody deserves an expectation, and this allows you to prioritize your day. So I love this next one. If it's not in the management system, it didn't happen. Somebody just say, yeah. I don't care that it's in your email. Nobody else can see it. I don't care it's in your notepad. I can't read your handwriting. It needs to be in the system we all pay a lot of money for. And the reason it is, if you get into an E&O claim, your notepad's a huge liability. It isn't going to work. So instead, we need to say management system, management system, management system. Okay? So whenever anybody has a question, we go to the management system. Just think about how much we could stop interrupting each other all day if it wasn't like, hey, can you help me out with it? What's up with this client? Management system. We got to break up with notebooks. Notebooks are duplicate work. I love a good notebook. Okay, my mom was a school teacher. The smell of paper, a cool pen, I agree. However, notebooks are a crutch, and we end up writing in them. And where does that information need to go based on bullet point 1 on the slides? Management system. And some people will say, I'm not a good typer. Do you know what? I wasn't good at burpees. I got good at them by doing it. So if you hide your notebook on the other side of the room, throw that headset on, do this, guess what's going to happen? In 2 weeks, you'll be a better typer. I just heard a huh. But you're doing duplicate work, and everybody always tells me how busy we are, right? So if I'm writing it down and typing in, I'm not solving any problems. We need to get our price and remarketing mantra down. This is who gets a remarket and how we handle price. So this is an agency standard. Leaders need to lead, which means you need to educate your team who you're going to focus on. This one's one of my favorites. I don't know why, but many agencies have gotten a little more casual than my liking. Okay, and what do I mean by that? I know a lot about people's personal lives. And back in the day, that was not allowed, okay? So in my 20s at this one, I was at a bank-owned agency. I was very blessed to have people that invested in me. And a mentor of mine called me into her office and she said, Kelly, we have a huge problem. I go, what's the problem? My retention's great. I'm selling policies. I am clearly amazing. And she goes, you're not. And I was like, oh, okay, what's up? She goes, you need to start talking about your personal life to everybody in the office. Now, got to remember, I'm like 22 and I'm around all 45-year-old, 50-year-old women. So they want to know like who I was dating, what I did every weekend, right? Like they kind of were living a little vicariously through my wild and crazy lifestyle. And looking back on it, I do not want to meet my 22-year-old self, just for the record. That was an interesting time. So she's like, I want to promote you to a team lead because of your metrics, but your BS coming in the office has to stop. And I was like, well, they ask me. Can't you talk to them? And then she goes, no, you need to learn how to lead and manage and keep your mouth shut. And I also had some significant personal problems coming in. So sometimes I would come in a bit mopey, et cetera. So she actually grabbed my hand. Now, this is back in the day. I don't know if this would fly today. So like, I don't want to get any like HR complaints coming my way. She grabbed my hand, walked outside. Now, this is back in the day. There was no car clickers, right? We had the old fashioned, put the key in, These kids in the front are like, what? There was a key? And a key, we rolled down the window. And she goes, I want you to put your personal things, put your personal drama in here. And I was like this? And she's like, yeah, like just pretend to put it in the car. And I did that. She goes, okay, shut the door and lock it. She goes, that's where your personal crap belongs. It doesn't belong in my office. And she walked in. I was like, oh. So the next morning, I got in my car, and I'm like, personal matters in the back seat. And I did that for a couple weeks, and it made a difference. But we also have to realize sometimes work can be a break from personal matters. And we need to encourage people to take a break and put their cell phones away and stay focused on the client at hand. Right, unpopular beliefs. I get it, but I'm here to tell you some unpopular things. And on the flip side, we need to tell our team that if they have an upset client, don't go home and talk to your family about it, right? Like you're just taking away your personal. That's not how you want to show up to your family. So what we said is lock the spicy customer in your desk drawer and leave it there and go home and forget about them. Because if you talk about them at dinner, guess what? You invited them over for dinner. Did you want to have dinner with that person? No. So you can work that both ways, but we need to decrease personal matters coming in the office in a big way because it does cloud our judgment. Headsets and heads up, okay? Everybody gets a headset. Everybody's wearing it. Everybody's heads are up. If you don't like it, there's different ones that go over the ear, here like Britney Spears, over the head. You got options, okay? There's more than one way to have a headset. And ultimately, we have to be an ER nurse that is constantly triaging our time so that when someone calls in with 7 policies and they're upset with rate, they get our attention, not the monoline auto that missed their payment again, right? And some of us feel like, well, this person doesn't have coverage, I must dive in. Or your competition, or they could call somebody else other than you, right? So here's the things. We also need to delegate to elevate. What do we mean by that? Delegate to elevate means if you have virtual assistants at your office, support team members, new team members, interns, this group of people in many agencies doesn't have enough work to do. And we don't trust them yet. But guess what? Did you all in here learn insurance somehow? Did you learn by somebody that had more experience delegating work to you? So we need to understand that if we take the time and show somebody how to do it, even if it's painful, or we have to let go of trust, that is the only way we will survive 2025. We had an agency that has a virtual assistant, and the virtual assistant almost quit because they didn't have enough work to do. Now, the 2 people in the office were drowning, and they're like, well, I don't have time to train her. Well, guess what? Next week, will you have time? No. Next week, will you have time? No. Does the agency keep growing? Yes. So when would be the best time to do something different? Right now. And by the way, some of the best account managers I know are that way because we pushed them in the deep end of the water and said, let's see if you can swim. Now, I'm not saying that that's right, but sometimes you learn best by just getting in there. Appointments are your friend, even if it's a phone appointment. We work a lot with agencies that take walk-in traffic. It's okay to say we're by appointment only. It's also okay if you want to say we'll schedule a phone appointment. But all day long, it cannot be the chaos sometimes. And we believe you got to be 0 backlog by Friday. 0 emails in your inbox, 0 overdue activities. Doesn't that sound lovely, by the way? It's possible. It is very possible. I'm telling you, we have agencies that do it, that are not different than you in this room. But it takes intention, and it takes being organized, and it takes delegation, and it takes a smart approach to your time. So we also have time management training that you can talk about, but I'll tell you this. I think that we should forego how to bake cookies in high school and teach people how to manage their time. It's something that I study all the time because I have a very productive lifestyle. So if we look at it just to wrap up, I know we're coming short on time. We also need to have sales training. So we do secret shopper calls, and I can tell you that 1/3 of our secret shoppers don't get a quote. Meaning that we have a huge sales process mishap in a lot of agencies. My belief is a lot of agencies have a quote process, not a sales process, okay? A quoting process, not a sales process. Which means we know how to quote, but we don't know how to make the person feel good and buy that policy. And early on in my career, I heard you either have to be a sales organization or a service organization. And I said that that's crap because nothing happens until a policy is sold. And then what is the service we provide? Well, if we're a service organization, we better be doing those renewal calls extra. If we're a sales organization, they have a good sales process, your retention still needs to be high. I want everybody in this room to be a growth agency. And so we need training, or most agencies train on quoting, binding, carrier appetite raters, but we don't actually train on sales. How important speed is, how to cross-sell that account at the point of sale, how to deliver the quote, how to ask for the business, how to overcome the objections. We focus so heavily on getting the quote done that then we end up practice quoting in a big way. So here's our confessions of our secret shoppers real quick. And this is why I want to open your eyes. In 2025, we could be burning a lot of time practice quoting if we don't have the right sales process. 33% of leads went to voicemail. When someone calls in looking for a quote, they need to talk to a live person. And we need to start getting information. So if somebody says, oh, wait, I'll get you somebody goes to voicemail, you should burn that lead. Okay? 71% of agents built no value in themselves. Why do business with me? 74.76, and this is heartbreaking, didn't stop and tell the opportunity what an independent agent was. That is our biggest value. We have choice. We work for you. We are independent insurance agents. And guess what? My mom doesn't know that unless you talk to her about that. So how do we miss this? You know why? Because we take out the ye old quote sheet and start interrogating them with their VIN number before we build value. Every new business quote should have the same process to it. 21% didn't find any connection. 31% took all the information to quote, so we didn't go on like Zillow or their website and try to get information. We interrogated the person with a whole bunch of information they may not have. 43% of agents only quoted was requested. So if they requested auto, that's what they got. They didn't get a cross-sell for a home, anything else. So we left a lot of money on the table there. 57% of quotes were just emailed. Gonna tell you guys this, you want to instant boost your closing ratio? We never, ever, 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 ever email a quote until we present it to the person verbally. Because guess what happens when you email someone a quote? What do they look at? And then they decide if they ever want to speak to you again. So why? Why would we email? Oh, we want to get it off our desk? That's ridiculous. Then we shouldn't have quoted it. We should have rejected the lead to begin with. 78% of agents didn't discuss any options. 3% asked for the business. 3% of licensed insurance agents at the end of the call said, great, do you want to get started? The rest said, think about it and let me know. That's not a closing statement, right? 63% did one follow-up. One follow-up. That's it. We just spent an hour of our time quoting something and we did one follow-up. So we need to kind of be thinking through some of these things. I know we're running a little low on time. Do we have some time for some questions? Oh, we have one right there. It's hard to see. Sorry, guys. Like the lights are very, very bright.
What do you do when you're trying to give away one of those clients and they won't go? They won't go away.
Yeah. So, yes, I will repeat the question. So he had said to us, what do you do if you have one of those clients who you want to fire, but they won't go away? Okay, so a couple of things you can do. First and foremost, you can decelerate their service. The second thing is you can call the underwriter and see if they're willing to get off the risk. The third thing is sometimes in this market, they may not have other options, right? But this will change next year, hopefully. And so I would definitely recommend calling them up and saying, this just isn't really working. And so we recommend you find coverage elsewhere. But if you can get the underwriter on your side and have them cancel it, that does help out a lot. And then just say, sorry, that's the only option we have.
We have another question.
Yes.
It's not a question. I was going to suggest they can just charge them for those extra services.
Like fee them. Yeah. Every state's a little different on their fees, but yeah, that's an option.
You can charge them fees. Just make sure you do it right and you post it.
Yeah. There you go. There's a fee to speak to you now. I think there's a question over here.
I don't know if you mentioned it at the beginning, but how do we tell them no nicely
A client?
in the first place?
So it depends on the situation. Like I'll say like, hey, they want to be remarketed, right? So let's just use that as an example. And if you have other ones, just come find me and I can walk through them. But I would just say, hey, looking at your account, you're with the best market that we would recommend. So our recommendation is you stay where you are. I'm going to say, I really want to be remarketed. Again, our recommendation is you stay where we are. In order to reshop you, it'll be about a 2 to 3 week process. And if you can give them cause, right? Like, hey, and looking at your roof, it's a little too old, or you have dogs that aren't going to fly, you can kind of go there. We actually have a whole script you can find on our website too, of like all the different scenarios and what to say.
I love what you said about you said don't email them the quote.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we're talking with them first, give them the quote, and then of course we can go ahead and electronically send it to them, correct?
That is correct. So we believe in presenting it. So if you can quote over the phone, first call resolution, that's going to drive your highest closing ratio. That's not possible 100% of the time. It's possible more times than we all think, okay? Then if I couldn't, what I would say is, okay, sir, what time on Friday works for you to go over the quote, set an option? We are seeing a lot of great results from people doing like a Zoom meeting or screen share. Because if they see you, that's a competitive advantage. Maybe they don't have to be on a call, but then you can pull up the quote, show them in the quote, make live changes, and it will set you apart from the competition. And it's kind of like the example of somebody coming into your office to review the quote is almost always going to buy. Somebody doing this on Zoom, you have a higher likelihood that they're going to purchase and move forward. And other agents aren't doing it, so automatically you have it. And I'll tell you, I think it's a more enjoyable quote experience because maybe I see them and I build a better bond with them too. Well, I will be around this afternoon to the cocktail party. We're doing this again next, so if you want to sit for round 2, you can. But tomorrow we're doing the Road to 96% Retention, where we dive deeper into all the ways, not just renewal reviews, you can get your retention up. So thank you guys for having me. Thank you, Abhi.